My name is Gabriel Alonzo. I'm 17 years old, and I never imagined I'd be sharing something like this, not in a million years. I wasn't the kind of kid who believed in miracles. I didn't like religion. I thought church was boring. I rolled my eyes whenever my mother prayed. Honestly, I felt like God was just another story people told themselves to survive this broken world. I was angry, all the time. Angry at our corrupt politicians. Angry at seeing my friends drop out of school because of poverty. Angry at my father who left us. Angry at God for being silent while our country suffered. I buried myself in mobile games and noise. It was easier to numb the pain than to feel it. Then came that day, the one that changed everything. It was a Thursday afternoon in Manila. I was walking home from school. The streets were hot, crowded, and noisy like always. But as I passed by City Hall, I noticed a growing crowd. Protesters were gathering again, holding signs, chanting for justice, for accountability. Same as always. Another protest. Another day of shouting into the wind. I didn't care. I was tired of it all. But then I saw her. Mia, a classmate of mine. Quiet, always sitting at the back of the room. She was being shoved by a police officer. Her book spilled to the ground. She looked terrified. Something inside me snapped. Without thinking, I rushed forward to help her. I grabbed a nearby metal fence to push myself through the crowd. What I didn't realize was that a power line had fallen just moments before. It was draped across the metal, hidden beneath the chaos. And in one instant, my world went black. I didn't feel pain. Not in the way you'd expect. It was more like my soul was being ripped from my body, like being pulled backward into nothingness. 1 second I was on the ground, the next I wasn't there anymore. At first I thought I was dreaming, but it was too vivid, too real. I was standing in my grandmother's old home, the one that was destroyed years ago in a typhoon. But everything was brighter, sharper, like reality had been turned up to its highest setting. I could smell her cooking, feel the wind through the bamboo windows, hear the sound of roosters in the distance. But I knew she wasn't there. She'd died when I was 8. I turned slowly and saw him. A man was sitting at the kitchen table waiting for me. He didn't glow. He wasn't floating. No halo. No wings. He looked like someone I'd see in the market. Brown skin. Simple white robe. Maybe in his 30s. But when he looked at me, everything inside me crumbled. His eyes. Oh God, his eyes. They were filled with something I couldn't explain. Sadness. Compassion. Power. It was like he had seen every broken part of me and still loved me. He spoke softly, but it echoed through my soul. Gabriel, he said, like he'd known my name forever. You have questions. I couldn't speak. My knees buckled. I fell to the ground shaking. Tears poured from my face without warning. It was like my entire life had led up to this moment, this meeting. I have something to show you, but first I need you to understand. I've never left you. I couldn't believe it. I'm a Filipino Muslim kid. I didn't grow up reading the Bible. I was taught that Jesus was just a prophet, not the Son of God. And yet, I knew it was him. Not because someone told me. Because my soul recognized him before my brain could even try to understand. I was dead. I knew that now. My body was still lying on the pavement in Manila. But here I was somewhere else entirely. And standing in front of me was Jesus. And this was only the beginning, because what he showed me next would shake everything I believed. Not just about faith, not just about life and death, but about our world, our future, and what's coming next if we don't wake up. This isn't a story to scare you. This is a warning, a prophecy, a second chance. And if you're listening, it means you were meant to hear it. I remember opening my eyes, or at least I think I did. But when I looked around, I wasn't on the street anymore. I wasn't even on Earth. It felt like I had stepped into a memory, yet it was brighter, clearer, and more alive than anything I had ever known. I was standing in my grandmother's old nipa hut, the one in Cebu that collapsed during an earthquake when I was just a child. Everything was exactly as I remembered: the woven bamboo walls, the smell of dried fish, the rhythm of the wind through the coconut trees. But the light made everything glow like heaven was pouring through every surface. And then I saw him, sitting at the old wooden table, hands gently folded, wearing simple clothes. He didn't look like the paintings I'd seen in Catholic churches or Sunday school storybooks. No glowing white robe, no golden crown. He looked familiar, like someone I had always known but somehow forgotten. He looked up at me, and the moment our eyes met, I fell to my knees without even thinking. His eyes held everything: peace, power, sadness, and a love so overwhelming that I couldn't stop the tears. "Gabriel," he said softly, "you are safe now. But we don't have much time." My voice cracked and I asked, "Are you really him?" He didn't answer with words at first. He just reached out his hand, and the moment his fingers touched mine, I felt everything. Every regret, every fear, every ounce of shame I had been carrying leave my body like dust on the wind. My soul trembled. I wasn't just seen, I was known. He pulled out the chair across from him and motioned for me to sit. "You're angry, Gabriel. You've been angry for a long time." I couldn't deny it. It was true. I'd been angry since my kuya disappeared after joining a protest. Angry when my classmates were arrested for simply posting the truth online. Angry at God, at the world, at myself. I looked at him and whispered, "Why did you let this happen to us? Why does evil win while the good suffer?" He looked down for a moment as if feeling the weight of a million prayers just like mine. Then he said something I'll never forget. "I was with you in every tear, every moment you thought I was silent. I wept when you wept. But I will never force love upon a world that won't ask for it. Free will is my gift, and it can create either beauty or destruction." I felt a sting in my chest, because deep down I knew he was right. We wanted God to save us, but not if it meant surrendering control. Then suddenly the room melted away. I wasn't in the hut anymore. I was standing somewhere above the earth, floating, but not in a dreamlike way. It was as if my spirit had been lifted to a place where I could see everything at once. And then in a single breath I saw it all. Wars being planned in shadowed boardrooms. Young soldiers being trained with blind rage. Propaganda machines turning truth into lies. I turned to Jesus, trembling. "What is this?" He looked me in the eyes, his voice growing firm but still full of love. "This is what happens when people trade truth for comfort. When prayer is replaced by pride. When unity is destroyed by fear." He raised his hand, and suddenly, I saw missiles, the real ones, moving silently through the sky. Their destinations burned themselves into my mind: Manila, Seoul, Washington, Tehran, Kiev. No warnings, no second chances, just impact. I screamed. My whole soul screamed. Children, mothers, whole cities wiped out in a flash of flame and dust. And then Jesus said it. "This is the path humanity is choosing, Gabriel, but it does not have to end this way." I turned to him broken and furious. "Then stop it. You're God. You can do anything." He looked away for a moment as if the pain was too much even for him to bear. Then he spoke again. "I can only intervene when they ask, when they pray, when they repent, when they come together. I will never force my will upon hearts that will not open." In that moment, I understood something that changed everything. God's greatest power was love. And love never forces. Love invites. Love waits. Love offers a choice. And right now, the world was on the edge of choosing destruction over humility. I fell to the floor sobbing. "Why show me this?" He came close. I could feel his presence like warm sunlight filling every broken place in me. "Because you're young. Because your voice is still unshaped by religion or politics. And because the young will lead the awakening." And then the light around us began to shift again. Faster. Stronger. And what he showed me next would change everything I believed about history, war, and the power of prayer. Suddenly, the light around us changed. I was no longer in the warm presence of the garden or the stillness of that moment. Jesus placed his hand gently on my shoulder, and the scene transformed as if we stepped into the fabric of time itself. We were floating above the earth, silent, vast, and breathtaking. But this wasn't about beauty. No, this was revelation. I could feel it in my bones. He turned toward me with solemn eyes and said, "Gabriel, what I'm about to show you will be difficult, but you must see it, you must remember, because the future depends on it." In an instant, I saw history unfold like a living tapestry. Dynasties rising, kingdoms falling, leaders speaking into microphones, shaking hands, signing documents. But there was something else, something invisible and evil whispering in the background. Dark figures, shadowy, slithering, loomed behind them, not fully human. They whispered lies into the ears of presidents, generals, tech billionaires. I watched these leaders' expressions change from reason to rage. They are not just men with agendas. They are being influenced, deceived. What you see behind them are not myths. They are spirits of darkness, and they feed off fear. Then I saw one room, cold and polished, filled with military officials. One man stood at the center. I didn't know his name, but his signature on a paper changed everything. Is that... I couldn't finish my sentence. He authorized the first strike, a nuclear one. My heart dropped. The vision shifted again. I saw missiles launched from underground silos, splitting the clouds with a trail of fire. They were headed for cities I recognized: Seoul, Tel Aviv, Washington, and even Manila. I screamed, "Stop, Lord, please stop this. I want to Gabriel." But love cannot exist without free will. I gave humanity the power to choose. And this is the result when people choose power over peace. The horror grew unbearable. I saw the bombs hit. People disappeared in seconds. Children playing in schoolyards. Mothers holding their babies. Cities turned to ash. Screams echoed through a firestorm of silence. I turned away, vomiting from the pit of my soul. Why show me this? I wept. Because people no longer believe this is possible. They mock prophecy. They laugh at warnings. But I show you, so you may warn them with clarity and conviction. The next scene sent chills through my veins. I saw not just war, but the roots of war. I saw how hatred had been planted generation after generation. How entire systems were designed to divide people by race, by religion, by gender. Governments didn't fix it. They profited from it. The war is not just with weapons, Gabriel. It is with ideas, lies, identities. The enemy knows if he can confuse the mind, he doesn't need to use missiles. I saw how music, movies, and technology were no longer neutral. They were weapons. People weren't even aware they were being programmed. I saw how arguments online turned brothers against brothers. I saw how even churches stayed silent in the face of injustice. Pastors preached comfort but ignored the cries of the oppressed. Where are my people? Where are the ones who will speak truth even when it costs them everything? Then he showed me something that broke me. I saw a child, a little girl maybe 7 years old. She knelt beside a candle, praying not for toys, not for candy, but for peace. Her country had been destroyed by war. Her parents were gone, yet she prayed. And in the heavens I saw light respond. That prayer has more power than an army of soldiers. That prayer reached me when nations would not. I fell to my knees. This was no longer a vision of doom. It was a call to rise, a call to remember, a call to fight the real enemy, the one who divides us silently from within. The light around me shimmered and shifted once more. What had been a moment of silence, of stillness, was now pierced by a sound I had never heard before. It wasn't a sound of this world. It was like thunder cracking through eternity. And yet it came not from above, but from within. I looked around confused. The beautiful landscape Jesus had shown me was gone. In its place stood a battlefield, but not one with guns and soldiers. It was something deeper, darker. I saw people walking with their heads down. Millions of them. Their eyes were blank. Their mouths were closed, though their hearts screamed. Above them, shadows moved, figures that looked like snakes with wings, speaking words not out loud but straight into their minds. Lies, Jesus whispered beside me. They're hearing lies. Gabriel, this is the war your world does not see. This is not a battle for land or oil or power. It is a battle for the soul. These forces, they do not kill with bullets. They kill with deception. The shadows whispered things that felt sick to my stomach, even hearing them. You are worthless. You are alone. God has forgotten you. Follow your desires. They are your truth. Each lie was like a hook digging into hearts, pulling people down deeper into despair. I saw young people, kids like me, scrolling endlessly on their phones. Eyes glazed over as the enemy poured lie after lie through glowing screens. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell them to wake up, but my voice didn't reach them. I saw a girl maybe 13 sitting in a dark room. Her phone buzzed with filters, trends, and fake beauty. Her face twisted with comparison, then sorrow. The demon behind her whispered, "No one loves you. Just disappear." She believed it. Another vision appeared. A boy in Manila, angry and confused. His father left. His mother drank. He wanted to belong, so he joined the gang. The demon beside him whispered, "Your only worth is power." He pulled a knife. He believed it too. I saw it over and over. Broken fathers, silent churches, addicted teens, divided homes. The darkness was organized, strategic, ruthless. They are not fighting each other, Gabriel. They are being played. puppets in a war they don't know exists. The enemy does not need to kill them with weapons. He only needs them to forget who they are. And then he showed me what made my blood run cold. It wasn't just young people falling. It was pastors, church leaders, teachers, people who once stood in truth now compromising. I saw a preacher standing in front of a church smiling, but behind his eyes was fear. Fear of being cancelled. Fear of losing his platform. So he said nothing. Or worse, he said what the world wanted to hear. They were called to speak for me, but now they speak for the crowd. They were meant to be light, but they are dimming their flame. The battlefield changed again. I now saw demons sitting inside what looked like media control rooms, editing movies, rewriting headlines, twisting narratives. I saw how powerful stories were used to glorify violence, normalize immorality, and blur the lines between truth and lie. I saw how pain was sold for profit, and truth was hidden behind smiles and scripts. My chest felt heavy. How could we win a war this vast? It is not hopeless, Gabriel. The enemy is loud, but I am louder in the hearts of those who listen. Watch. Then he showed me something that made me weep. I saw prayer, but not in cathedrals or mosques. I saw it in hidden places. A boy in Cebu kneeling in a field with tears on his cheeks whispering, "Lord, I don't know you, but I need you." A mother in Quezon City praying over her children while they slept. A former gang leader reading scripture under flickering light, holding on for dear life. Every whisper of faith sent out ripples of light that pushed back the shadows. Every act of forgiveness lit up cities. Every time someone chose truth over popularity, darkness lost ground. This war will not be won by strength, Gabriel. It will be won by surrender. Not to the enemy, but to me. Tell them. Tell the world what you see. I wanted to, desperately, but part of me still felt small. I looked at Jesus, but I'm just one boy, I said quietly. How can I stop all this? Because your voice carries what matters most, truth. The world needs voices not of anger, but of conviction. Not of hate, but of hope. I don't need a crowd to start a revival. I only need one heart that says yes. My heart broke open. I saw the war. I saw the enemy's tricks. But more than that, I saw the power of a single life surrendered to Jesus. As the vision faded, I heard one last word thunder in my soul. Warn them, Gabriel. Warn them while there is still time. And then the battlefield dissolved into light. And I knew my mission had only begun. I don't remember how long I stood there, frozen between pain and awe, between my old life and this eternal moment. Everything Jesus had shown me the war. The lies, the manipulation, it had shaken me to the core. But now something deeper was happening. Something louder than fear and stronger than sorrow. It was like a fire awakening inside me. We were standing on what looked like the edge of a high mountain. And down below I saw entire cities. Not with my eyes but through my spirit. I saw slums and skyscrapers, villages and metropolises. From Manila to Mumbai, Lagos to Los Angeles. Young people everywhere, faces lit by the glow of screens, their eyes tired, hungry, lost. I knew them. I was them. Addicted to digital noise, starved of love, worshipping images and empty approval, fighting battles they didn't understand. They were chasing fame but running from purpose. I saw teenagers crying themselves to sleep, parents who didn't understand, and hearts turning cold from disappointment. And then I heard his voice again. Gabriel, I'm raising up an army not with guns or violence, but with prayer and purpose. My sons and daughters are asleep, lulled by comfort and confusion, but the shaking has begun. I'm stirring the youth, the ones who feel forgotten, the ones the world gave up on. They are my warriors. I fell to my knees, not from fear but from recognition. I could feel his words carving something into my soul like they were reprogramming my DNA. You were not born by accident. None of them were. The enemy has convinced an entire generation that their pain is proof I abandoned them. But the truth is, I planted greatness inside them before they even entered their mother's womb. Then I saw a vision. Young people falling to their knees in bedrooms, on rooftops, in rice fields, in refugee camps, some whispering, some shouting, some crying. But all of them were praying. Not fancy prayers, just raw, messy, honest cries. And every time they prayed, a ripple of light burst out from them, scaring away shadows I hadn't even seen before. Jesus showed me a girl in Cebu. She had scars on her wrists, but her prayers were healing others. He showed me a boy in Kenya abandoned by his father, but preaching with fire at 15. a teenager in Ukraine leading worship in a bomb shelter, a student in Brazil fasting, not food but social media, and through his surrender, his whole campus changed. And then I saw myself, Gabriel Alonzo, a boy from nowhere, a nobody. But Jesus didn't see me like that. He showed me a version of myself I'd never imagined, speaking with authority, loving with boldness, leading others into prayer with fire in my voice. Not because I was good, but because I was broken, and I had surrendered. You are not the future, you are the now. I will pour out my spirit on the youth just as I promised. Sons and daughters will prophesy, the timid will roar. The outcasts will become pillars of revival, and it begins with you. I began to sob because for the first time, I understood the purpose of my pain. Every rejection, every moment I thought God was silent, every time I questioned why I was born into chaos, it was all part of the preparation. The suffering hadn't made me weak, it had made me ready. Suddenly I saw revival, but not like church conferences or viral videos. I saw small groups of youth praying in secret, crying for their generation. I saw worship rising from places that had never known hope, prisons, slums, nightclub shelters. I saw a new sound, a spiritual frequency rising from the youth, one that shook demons, broke chains, and flooded neighborhoods with healing. It was messy, it was raw, but it was real. And the best part? No one was trying to become famous. They didn't care about likes or followers. They only wanted Jesus. When the young stop performing and start praying, the heavens respond. They don't need a stage. They don't need permission. All they need is me. Jesus turned toward me, his face glowing with love and urgency. Gabriel told them, they are not too young. They are not too dirty. They are not too late. I'm raising up youth leaders who won't wait for permission. I will speak through them. I will fight for them. And through them, I will awaken nations. At that moment, I felt my heart ignite, not with emotion, but with conviction. This wasn't just a dream. This was a calling. And I couldn't stay silent. Not now. Not ever. The next vision Jesus showed me was the most terrifying of all. The light began to dim, not with darkness from heaven, but with shadows rising from the earth. I saw what looked like a peaceful city, clean streets shining, buildings, smiling people. But something felt wrong. It was too perfect. The moment I tried to speak, Jesus turned to me, his face solemn. Gabriel, this is the deception I warned you about. It will not come with war. It will come with comfort, with control hidden inside promises of peace. Suddenly, I was pulled into a room. Government officials from different countries were gathered around a large screen. They were discussing something called the New Order of Unity. On the surface, it was about ending war, ensuring global health, erasing poverty. But I saw what was really behind it. This wasn't unity, it was a system designed to erase faith. People were being told to surrender their rights for safety. They were given digital identities, microchips in their hands, brain interfaces connected to a central system. If you didn't take it, you couldn't buy, couldn't travel, couldn't even speak freely. They promised progress, but what I saw was slavery. They will not chain bodies anymore, Gabriel. They will chain minds. They will redefine truth and silence anyone who remembers me. I saw churches transformed into entertainment centers, motivational speeches without repentance. Pastors who once preached fire and truth now wore smiles and told people sin no longer existed. They will say I am just an idea, not the way. They will preach comfort, not conviction. And many will fall for it because it feels good. But what feels good is not always good for the soul. Then I saw blacklists names of people who refused to join the system. I saw believers being mocked, arrested, even executed. But not one of them looked afraid. They stood firm, eyes full of peace, because they knew who they belonged to. One man, maybe 30 years old, was standing in a courtroom. He was accused of spreading intolerance just for praying aloud. He didn't fight. He didn't argue. He just lifted his hands and said, Jesus is still Lord. The room went silent, and in the spirit realm, I saw hundreds of angels surround him. Suddenly, I was back above the earth. This time, I saw two groups forming. One moved toward the shining system, glowing screens, false prophets, and seductive promises. The other moved toward small gatherings in homes, underground churches, secret places of worship. They didn't have much, but they had fire in their prayers. They had tears on their faces, and they had the presence of God among them. Do not envy those with power, Gabriel. Envy those with prayer. For when the world collapses, it is not wealth that will save them. It is worship. I saw countries burning, economies failing. The shining system cracked like glass under pressure. People began crying out, but their voices echoed into silence because they had forgotten how to pray. But in the hidden places, I saw revival. Young people like me rising up not with guns or protests, but with truth, with fasting, with the word. Their eyes burned with holy fire. They will be my army, not soldiers of blood, but warriors of spirit. They will not fight with violence, but with love, with faith, with truth. I saw Filipino youth praying over their schools. I saw students in Mindanao, Visayas, and Luzon crying out for their nation. I saw Muslim background believers, ex-gang members, and street kids holding hands in circles of worship. And every time they lifted their voices, I saw demons tremble and flee. And then Jesus whispered something I'll never forget. The final war will not be fought with tanks or missiles. It will be fought for the hearts of men. And I have chosen this generation to rise not later, but now. My heart trembled. I wasn't ready. I wasn't holy. I wasn't brave. But I looked at Jesus and he smiled again, not with power, but with pride. You don't need to be perfect, Gabriel. You just need to be willing. Then I saw a final flash, a screen glowing with words, peace achieved. All are one. But behind the screen, I saw a serpent coiled ready to strike. Tell them the peace of this world is not the same as my peace. One brings silence, the other brings salvation. Suddenly the vision ended. I gasped. The silence of eternity was gone. I was falling back toward earth, toward my body. But one last whisper reached me as the light began to fade. Gabriel, they must know. The time is short. Tell them. When I opened my eyes, the world felt louder. Hospital lights burned my skin. The machines beeped in chaotic rhythm. My chest ached like it had been torn open and stitched shut again. I gasped, choking on air, and the nurse screamed for the doctor. I was alive. 33 minutes without a heartbeat. No brain activity. The doctor's voice trembled as he whispered, "This shouldn't be possible." But I knew why. I had touched eternity. I had seen Jesus, and I had been sent back. My parents stood frozen at the foot of the bed, tears pouring down their cheeks. My father, once a hardened man who never cried, held my hand like I was made of glass. My mother collapsed to her knees, whispering prayers she hadn't prayed in years. But I wasn't the same boy they had raised. Because now, I carried something heavier than that, a message for all humanity. That night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the fire again. The missiles, the demons, the silence of the heavens when people stopped praying. I saw the serpent behind the glowing screen, the trap disguised as peace. And I saw the face of Jesus filled with love and sorrow, still calling. Gabriel, they must know. Time is not your enemy, it is their opportunity. So I began to speak. First to my parents. My father shook his head, unsure if it was a dream or a delusion. But my mother, she cried the moment I said his name, Jesus, not as a prophet, but as the Son of God. She whispered, I felt him, but I was always afraid to say it out loud. Then I told my friends, at first only the ones I trusted. They thought I was joking. One of them laughed and said, Bro, did you overdose on prayer? But something strange started happening. Days after I spoke to them, they began having dreams. Visions of fire, of war, of angels. Some woke up weeping. Others started asking questions they never cared about before. Is there really more to life? Do you think God still hears people like us? Yes, he does. And he's calling. I started sharing online anonymous at first. Just another voice in the chaos of the internet. But somehow, the message spread. I got messages from strangers in the Philippines, Indonesia, Kenya, Brazil, teenagers, Muslims, Christians, even atheists, saying something in their spirit had been stirred. Some said, I don't know why I'm crying, but I think I need to pray. When one speaks truth with courage, I breathe on it, and that breath reaches far beyond what you see. I began to understand. This wasn't just a warning about nuclear war. It wasn't just about demons or end times. This was about awakening the sleeping hearts of a generation. The youth we were made for this hour. We're not too young. We're not too late. We're not too broken. I do not call the qualified Gabriel. I qualify the ones I call. One night I stood alone on a rooftop in Manila. I looked out over the city, all the lights, all the people walking in silence. Most had no idea what was coming. Most had no clue they were living on borrowed time. And I cried, not out of fear, but because of love. The love I had felt in his presence. The kind that makes you weep and laugh and fall to your knees all at once. I wanted everyone to feel that before it was too late. Before the fire. Before the silence. Before the system wrapped its chains around the world with a smile. I've seen what's coming. But more importantly, I've seen what can still be prevented. I've seen revival, youth gatherings in Cebu Street, kids in Davao laying hands on the sick. I've seen churches come alive again, not with fog machines or lights, but with the fire of repentance. I've seen prayer rooms full at 2 a.m. I've seen fathers forgive sons and daughters who walk away from suicide because someone whispered, "Jesus loves you." Tell them I love them, even if they scream at me, even if they forget me, even if they fail me again and again, I still love them. I believe him because he loved me, a rebellious boy from Manila who wanted nothing to do with religion, who laughed at prayer, who almost died with hate in his heart, and yet he met me, and now I carry his message in my bones. This is not a call to religion. This is not a call to fear. This is a call to wake up. The clock is ticking. The battle is spiritual. And the only way forward is together. Christians, Muslims, Catholics, seekers, doubters, broken people from every nation. If we pray, truly pray, we can rewrite what I saw. Prayer is not the last resort. It is the first weapon. Teach them that, Gabriel. So I will. And I won't stop. Even if they mock me. Even if they silence me. Even if no one believes me, because someone will, and that one soul could be the spark that ignites the greatest awakening this world has ever known. I don't know your name, I don't know where you're watching this from, but I do know something. You are not here by accident. This story, my near-death experience, this vision of war and fire and revival, it wasn't just for me, it was for you. Maybe you're skeptical, maybe you're hurting, maybe you've prayed before and felt like nobody answered. But I'm here today breathing, living, and speaking not to impress you, not to convert you, not to scare you, but to tell you the truth. Tell them I still love them, even now, especially now. This isn't about religion, it's about reality, spiritual reality. While we scroll through headlines and search for the next distraction, a war is happening behind the scenes, a war for the souls of a generation. And whether you believe in demons or not, whether you go to church or mosque or nowhere at all, you are part of this story. I saw what could happen. Cities burned, leaders blinded, silence from heaven, not because God abandoned us, but because we stopped calling out to Him. But I also saw something else. I saw unity. I saw prayer rise from every nation. Filipino youth crying out in the rain. Mothers fasting for their children. Catholics, Protestants, Muslims, and seekers on their knees, not arguing doctrine, but asking for mercy together. And the darkness fled. That's the part I'll never forget. When they come together in love and humility, the powers of hell cannot stand. So now I ask you, don't just listen to this story. Join it. Don't wait for some perfect time. Don't say maybe tomorrow. Time is running, but hope is still alive. If something inside you stirred while watching this, that's not just emotion. That's invitation. So here's what you can do right now. Start praying. Even if it's messy, awkward, whispered, start talking to the one who made you. He hears. He responds. Share this story. Send it to someone who needs hope. Someone who's ready to give up. Someone who thinks they've gone too far. They haven't. Let's build a family of faith across the world. Right here. Right now. By liking this video. Leaving a comment with your prayer request or your dream. And subscribing to this channel, not for fame, not for numbers, but because when we gather here, something begins. If you're still watching, I want you to hear me clearly. You were born for this hour. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. You are not alone. Tell them I am with them in the shaking. Tell them I will walk with them through the fire. Tell them I still have a purpose for them. So let's awaken together. This is Pinoy Faith Stories, and this is just the beginning. Click subscribe, leave a comment, hit like, but more than that, pray. Pray like the world depends on it, because maybe it does. We'll see you in the next story. Until then, stay awake, stay humble, and stay ready. God bless you. Mabuhay ka.